Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Aaron Park, and this is a little bit different than Top Shelf because I have nobody else with me. We will be having a familiar face coming on later in this podcast episode. I'm just going to freestyle this, probably going to be mostly uncut. This is going to be my first time trying to edit something, so it's going to be rough for me at home, but today we're just going to do this on my own because the person coming on later has never seen Stranger Things, and I'm very upset with that. So I'm going to be ranking top 20 Stranger Things characters today. So we're going to be doing that, and roll the intro. Let's get into it. Hello guys, this is Editing Aaron here, and I'm just going to issue my spoiler warning here. If you have not seen all 4 seasons of Stranger Things, you need to click off and go watch that now. There's plenty of spoilers in this video. Thank you guys so much. Alright, so starting off at number 20, I have a character who was only in for 1 season, and we have Alexei, the Russian scientist who was given 1 year at the beginning of season 3 to reopen the gate with the machine. I feel like he was such a kind of like comedic character because he didn't speak Russian, and Joyce and Hopper got him, and then they took him to Murray's. Murray was able to translate, and he was very, very angry that he got a strawberry Slurpee instead of a cherry. So he was a bunch of comedic relief, but he never had a big role with the kids or anything with any of the main characters. He was just the head of the Russian project, and he did in fact reopen the gate, but Grigory ended up shooting him at the end of the fair after he had won the darts and won Woody Woodpecker. So he ended up getting shot and killed in season 3, which is a very sad death at Mayor Klein's fair. But he is number 20. Moving on to number 19 is Mr. Martin Brenner, played by, I forget who he's played by. Matthew Modine, and he plays him, or Matthew Modine, he plays him terrifically. And that's why I like him as a character. I know he's not a good guy, but in a sense, he makes you hate his guts, which means that he plays him great. You know, in season 4, it was Angela. All of the seasons, essentially, except for season 3, it was Martin Brenner. He was the person that, you know, everybody hated, and it was for good reason, because he was the mastermind of the Hawkins lab and, you know, doing the experiments on the people and everything. So Martin Brenner deserves a spot on my list, played terrifically by Mr. Matthew Modine. And next on the list is going to be, rest in peace, Bob Newby. Bob was Joyce's boyfriend in season 2. Bob the Brain, actually, was his nickname. Bob the Brain. He was also Bob Newby's superhero, and he walked everybody through the computers. Hopper was going to go down and reset the computer system in the lab. Nope. Newby did it heroically, got everything. He has a bunch of good one-liners. When he set off the sprinklers, it was splash, and then when he opened all the doors, it was like open sesame or something. It's just great. Bob Newby, great character, rest in peace. Gruesome death, and I don't like you, Duffer Brothers, for showing the shot on Bob for like 30 seconds after he died and he was getting eaten up by the Demogorgons. I didn't really enjoy that at all. But next on the list, she's a little low on my list. A lot of people have her a lot higher. Her performance is terrific. She just doesn't strike my fancy. It's Joyce Byers. And I know she's in the top 10 for a lot of people. And season 1, she's terrific. Well, in all the seasons, she's great. But I just have plenty of people that I really like better than her. And a lot of people, like I said, won't like this number 17 pick, but it is Joyce Byers. And I just think she's a great character, but I'm just not a fan of her. I honestly couldn't even tell you why. But I'm just a fan of the 16 in front of her. Great mother. Nonstop looking for Will. When the body gets found in the water, that's not my son, that's not my son. And then somebody will mention on later, goes into the wherever it was and finds Will's body, and it's not cold, so he cuts it open and it's filled with cotton. Fun fact, actually, the actor or actress, I believe it was, that was not the Will body in the water. That was an actress. It wasn't Noah Schnapp. It was an actress who went in there and actually played that in the freezing cold water. So that's just a fun fact that I have in my brain. Next up, we have number 16, Will Byers. You know, season 1, he was the main character, but he wasn't in there much. And then they do end up finding him, and then he does come back. And then in season 2, he's kind of an outcast. And same as the rest of the seasons, really. And they said he's going to play a bigger role in season 5. But, he's kind of got a sob story. You feel bad for him because he comes back essentially from the dead, as people said. They called him Zombie Boy. And he's kind of forgotten by the group in a way, in season 4, he's just an outcast out in California. Mike doesn't really pay much attention to him, and Elle lies, and Elle kind of shuts him up. So Will's just fallen lower. He probably would jump up I'd say close to like 8 spots after season 5, if it is what they say it is. Next, we're going to have a good comedic relief character in Erica Sinclair. I think she is a great addition to the season 3 cast. She was in, I believe, season 2 briefly, but in season 3, she became part of the Scoops troupe with Robin, Steve, and Dustin. So in there, they bribe her with the ice cream, and they put her in the vents, and it's Project Child Endangerment, which is it's so funny, all of them. That's why season 3, in my opinion, is my favorite season, but we'll save that for another day. So 15, Erica Sinclair. At number 14, we have Henry Creel /001/Vecna. Terrific villain. I love his backstory in episode 7, The Massacre at Hawkins Lab, when Elle goes back in her memories. I think that's just terrifically written, terrifically played by Jamie Campbell Bower. Great actor. And he's my number 14. He can't be higher because he's a villain. That's the only reason why he's not he'd be in my top 5 realistically. Like, his backstory is very fascinating. When he was very, very young and he, killed his sister, but did kill his mother, and his dad got framed because he passed out. But number 13, I'm going to have Mike Wheeler. He was the leader in season 1, but then ever since then, it's kind of been downward, because he moved to Cali. He didn't do much out there, and he was all right. So I'm going to keep it short and sweet for 13. Number 12, we have another comedic character, Murray Bauman. He was hired, I believe, to find Barb by Barb's parents at the beginning of, I don't know what episode it was, but he's hired to find Barb, and then he just, saves Hopper. Him and Joyce go to save Hopper in Russia with Yuri and Enzo, or Dimitri, however you want to call him, whatever you want to say. And when he's like, my fingers are like arrow or something like that, and he's doing karate. He's a black belt in karate, fun fact, actually. And he's just a great comedic character. And number 11, we do have another comedic character, kind of, is Robin Buckley. Part of the Scoops troupe, who I love a lot. I'm going to keep it short and sweet for her as well. She's a terrific character. She fits in great with Steve. And they have a cool scene in season 3 where Steve indirectly confesses the love for Robin, but Robin gives him a plot twist and says that her cookie doesn't crumble that way. And she was jealous of Steve because that's who her crush was looking at, not looking at her. Shout out Tammy Thompson. She sounds like a Muppet. Next, we've got number 10, we've got Mr. Clark. In top 10, breaking in Mr. Clark, he's in season 2, I know for sure, briefly. Like, he's in like probably 4 or 5 episodes max, but he's a great character. I love him a lot. Mr. Clark, shout out to you. Short and sweet for the rest of these guys. Once we get into my top 5 or 10, I'm going to be able to show you guys why they're up so high. Next, number 9, Eddie Munson. I know he's in the top 5 and top 1 for a lot of people, especially a lot of people that I know. Eddie Munson, love him. Just not higher on my list because everybody above him has been in multiple seasons. Number 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Everybody else has been in multiple seasons. That's why I've got Eddie Munson so low. He's probably my favorite season 4 character. That's strictly in season 4, but he's, plays Master of Puppets. I love that scene. And then at the end, he should have jumped into the right side up, but he goes back and really not for anything. He fought the bats, just stood there, swung it like 4 or 5, and then he just got eaten alive. But next, we're going to have Billy Hargrove. The main reason why this guy's my favorite is because Dacre Montgomery, who is his actor, who plays him so well. That's why he's on here. If it was anybody else or he had a little bit of a lackluster performance, you can drop him out of the top 20. But Dacre Montgomery plays him so well, and his heroic death at the end when Elle is able to touch base with him and say, "Oh, I don't forget what she said, but it was about the memories and everything." But Billy Hargrove is a great character. Now, number 7 is Nancy Wheeler. I have her so great. up here strictly because she is so smart and she's able to, in a way, kind of crack the code, but not indirectly crack the code. But she's a great character, very smart, gets into the mental asylum, Penhurst Mental Asylum, talks to Victor Creel, the dad, who is terrifying, played by Robert Englund, who is the original Freddy Krueger. Anyways, number 6 is Lucas Sinclair. I've really, really liked this character ever since he made Up to 11 at the beginning of season 1, where they bring her in from the rainy day when they're going out to look, and they find her after she escapes Benny's Burgers. They bring her in, and Lucas is like, why is she still here? Why is she still here? So I didn't like him then, and then after he makes up, he becomes a very funny character. At the start of season 3, he gets sprayed in the eyes by Dustin, and then he's at the sink washing his eyes out, gets up to Max, is that a new zit? And then she says, what is wrong with you? Shoves him back in the sink. I think Lumax or Mucus. A lot of people call their ship name Mucus. I like Lumax. I like him a lot. Cracking into the top 5, this is where the main character of the show comes in, 11/Jane Hopper /L/Eggo Lover, whatever you want to call her. She is the show, and she's my number 5. Like her character a lot, portrayed probably the best acting performance or one of the best acting performances in all of the show by Millie Bobby Brown, who plays her. She's terrific in that, and her character development, not knowing how to speak anything. When she shows Mike the tattoo, she can't even say that's me. She has to point it herself. She does have, roll that back and go watch that. Season 1, episode 1, I believe, or season 1, episode 2. Go watch that. And she points at herself very, very aggressively. And now we're into number 4 is going to be Max Mayfield. The last female on this list, portrayed terrifically by Sadie Sink. She's in season 2, 3, and 4. Season 2, episode 1 is Mad Max. They introduce her to her. She's a tomboy skateboarder. And I love when she throws the note in the trash and Dustin is digging through it and it says, "Stop spying on me, creeps." I think that is hilarious. That's awesome. And Max is a great character. Running up that hill, Kate Bush in season 4 is great. Season 3, becoming friends with 11. I think that's also great. Max Mayfield, number 4. Number 3, number 1, 2, and 3, you could make them all cases for number 1. But my number 3 is going to be Dustin Henderson. I get compared to him a lot. I don't understand why. I think a lot of people think I'm really funny. But I have Dustin Henderson. What?
Humble guy over there.
What's up, fellas? But I've got Dustin Henderson at my number 3. Like him a lot. I get compared to him a lot. That was just Nathan and Josiah. Shout out to them. You know what? Bring my guest in. Let's go. Come on. My guest is coming in. We have a guest, a graduate of Stuart Kramer High School in Cramerton, North Carolina. It's going to be Mr. JB, Jacob Brindle. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Jacob Brindle.
It's such a privilege to be here. Oh my God. Such an unreal privilege.
He's been a guest of the show. Not a guest of the show. He is the show. I'm just kidding. Excuse me.
The show.
But Jacob, glad to have you on, my friend. It's a
of
pleasure.
course.
It's a pleasure.
It's been so long. I feel so weird sitting here.
And the reason I soloed the characters is because my man has never seen it. I'm not going to slander him.
I feel like you want to. You want to slander me.
Of course I do, but I'm not because I'm respectful. But
okay.
we're going to go ahead and move into my number 2 spot is Mr. Steve Harrington.
Steve.
I get portrayed to him a lot as well because when I was my senior year of basketball, as you can see, Mooresville basketball, all of the sophomores and juniors when I was a senior, they all loved me. I don't know why. But that's the only reason. It was my boy Nolan and Carson. Shout out those guys if you guys are watching. That compared me to him. It was Carson mainly, just said because all the younger kids want to hang out with me. If you say that out of context, it sounds terrible. I know. Stop. All right, my number 1 is Jim Hopper. Best, in my opinion, best acting performance throughout all seasons by David Harbour. Nothing really else for me to say about that. But Jim Hopper, number 1. We're going to run through my top 20 again. It goes Alexei, Martin Brenner, Bob Newby, Joyce Byers, Will Byers, Erica Sinclair, Henry Creel, Mike Wheeler, Murray Bauman, Robin Buckley, Mr. Clark, Eddie Munson, Billy Hargrove, Nancy Wheeler, Lucas Sinclair, 11, Max Mayfield, Dustin Henderson, Steve Harrington, and Jim Hopper. That's my top 20, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching my segment.